Well, thank you all for your cooperation. Let me first congratulate all of you for having taken this decision of giving us 3 hours of your valuable time on a Sunday morning, which could have been spent otherwise. I am C. Durga Prasad, Director Marketing of Top League Training and Business Consulting Private Limited. Top League was founded in January 2020 with a strong 40-member team from various industries and interests. We started in Jan 2020 and the pandemic hit the country from March 2020 and the lockdown started, thus creating a level playing field for all in the training industry. We quickly responded to the situation and took to online mode without any delay. We have been conducting online sessions for about a year, and then this concept of participate to CNTR struck upon, and we kickstarted this free knowledge sharing platform from the 1st of January 2021. This is going undeterred till date. And sometime during March 2021, we thought we should honor the best trainers around, and hence the birth of World's Best Trainers competition took place on the 15th of April 2021. We have completed 3 rounds of this competition successfully, and we are awaiting the results of the 3rd round. It is at this juncture our Managing Director, Mr. Arun Subramanian, thought it would be prudent to share with our community what the science and strategy of implicit learning is. And here we are today at the start of the session. But before we get into this program, we have some erudite people in this forum. One such great person is Ms. Sujata Balaji. I request Ms. Sujata, who is an academician with more than 2 decades of experience, to come and share with us much valued thoughts. Madam, may I request you to please come and share your thoughts.
Thank you, Mr. Durga Prasad. Am I conveniently audible?
Very much.
Thank you so much. It's a namaste to everyone, a good morning, a hello to the entire community. And it's such a wonderful procedure that, you know, being a part of Top League, and especially this session, implicit and explicit, the 2 sides of a coin that we are going to steer our session. First of all, I really wish to extend my heartfelt thank you to the Supremo, Training Supremo, Mr. Arun Subramaniam. I think it is his camaraderie with all the community members that makes you feel special to be across the platform with each and every one sharing their knowledge, their experience, and beyond that, personal experiences as well. Now, I come from an academic background. I have taught at school, college level. I have trained students for IIM. I have also handled engineering graduates for their interview skills, that is the soft skills dimension. And in this process, it's not just that I have imparted teaching, I too have acquired a lot of learning. Now, this learning has become even more special on the platform of Top League. Ask me why. There are some special parameters which I wish to share. Now, I just connected over PTS, what we call Participate You Scientia, on a very, very informal note on the social media, little realizing it's going to pave way for me to a huger platform. And there is no one who would regret that, yes, this has not fetched the person anything. My journey started on the academic front. Yes, there were orations, there were orientations, there was anchoring and a lot more to my dimension of my work. But here, the same work protocol, but at a huger and a more immaculate way. Little I realized the training industry is such a fetching and a blossoming platform. Now, I'm sure all of you would agree to this because this is an adult space, and adult learning is quite different from a student learning. We have acquired, we have shared, we have multiplied. The multitude of acquiring knowledge is immeasurable. For these reasons, I thought, why not take up this under PTS? Now, today, I really recognize myself as a member of Top League for the experiences that I have gone through the last few weeks. Starting from April, my induction to this platform through one of the presentations, such a warm welcome. It was such a feeling of togetherness. It's more like you're a part of a family. And I think the credit goes to Arun Subramaniam sir and his team of coveted members. And I don't know what adjectives further to use. I would say dynamic, I would say very appropriate with their work, and at the drop of a hat, they're very, very compassionate. They are very, very, philanthropic in their way of handling things and handling the members. The first and foremost, what I recognized here is each and every fraternity of the world, every platform has a space here. And I think this is the best thing about Topley. There's a doctor, there's a teacher, there's an architect, there's an engineer, there is a freelance editor, copywriter, and a lot more. Now, when so many fraternities are concocted into a single platform, I think that is the best way people across the world or across humanity can connect and continue to be so. Now, when we are analyzing ourselves on this platform, I would like to share my experience that little realizing that academic background and corporate backgrounds are two sides of a coin, I didn't realize when this has blended. That is the transformation I have undergone at Topley. Thanks to Arun Subramaniam sir once again. I don't think the word thank you is sufficient to extend to him because the realms of Topley, I have explored them so much that today I am such a part of I also am a treasured part of this community. Each one is special in their own way. And the way the community operates, the way the community takes over, how we help each other, there is a philosophical note, there is a philanthropic note, there is a humane attitude. I think this is more than the actual work protocol. First, if we lack these virtues, I think the work does not speak for itself. So this is very, very prominent. It's a wonderful facet, a wonderful dimension of Topley. And this is what has really brought me onto the platform. And I wish to continue with my sharing of knowledge and acquiring from each and every one of you, and especially Arun Subramaniam sir. A question raised, he answers the entire community. What more does a trainer need to reflect about himself? A master trainer, a supremo, a matriarch. A patriarch. I take back my word, a patriarch. How many adjectives are sufficient to define him? I do not know. I am on the dictionary hunt for a few more words to attribute it to Arun Subramaniam sir. So giving me this opportunity to share my feelings, I'm sure all of you are with the same tempo that yes, it's worth being on the Top League platform. Now, how they conduct, how they accommodate in case you can't come up with your presentation for the day, there's no penalty, there's no punishment. You are accommodated another day, you are accommodated another time. And I have practically experienced with my slotting being changed due to other demands at my work front. And I wish to give back to Top League all that I have learned over the years at my work front and also take from Top League the same immeasurable learning, immeasurable knowledge, and immeasurable togetherness. The feeling of brotherhood is truly reflected on this platform, which in a very, very deeper sense, I have not experienced it elsewhere. Yes, my association at the current workplace is more than 2 decades, yet there is a fine line. That is where academics and corporate fall separate. We have to draw a line because we deal with students. But here, adult students, adult learning, adult space, it makes all the difference. So with this, I have a humble prayer that yes, God bless Arun Subramaniam sir with his envisioned plans to go further and further and farther and farther, exploring the realms of humanity. This is what I wish for him and for all the members of Top League, the coveted, the governing members who really are making this an effective platform. Last but not the least, I would always say, humble beginnings, great beginnings, they always take you everywhere. The more you learn, the more you give, the equation always holds you in esteem. This is an example at Top League. And with this, I thank Arun sir for this opportunity and all the members for giving me their time and for allowing me to share my feelings, my views about Top League, because this is something I would always say it gets executed in a way that even the most layman gets connected. Even the most simply educated person, literate, gets connected and becomes a high profile thinker in this process. That is the transformation Top League has been reflecting, conducting, and executing. So I have an inscription for them that yes, may Top League soar the skies. May Top League reach the space, the outer universe as well, and let them conquer the kingdom of training and consultancy. With this, once again, thank you, Arun sir, and I take leave. This is Sujata Balaji from Hyderabad. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Madam Sujata, for your wonderful words and the trust you have on Top League and the team. And of course, Mr. Arun Subramaniam for all his leadership. Thank you so much. As they say, knowledge grows only when it is shared. So let us all be part of this. Well, now on to the main agenda. Before Mr. Arun starts his program, I would like to share a few words about him. Mr. Arun is a multifaceted individual, and he has 4 years of solid experience as a business leader and entrepreneur. He being a senior management team member for more than 30 years at several leading companies, he has built and managed organizations in the face of significant regulatory, technological, and industrial change. And these experiences have given him a ringside view of the shifting paradigms in the business world and the strategies that need to be employed to address them effectively. Having built high-performance teams from the ground up, several high-performing teams, he has an unmatched understanding of leadership and teamwork and the importance of these two attributes for success in the corporate world. Over the last 30 years, he has conducted over 70 management development workshops featuring professionals from varied industries in areas such as team management, performance enhancement, change management, innovation in business, strategic decision making, brand management, employee engagement, negotiations, and conflict resolution. As a business strategy expert, Mr. Arun mentors business leaders and entrepreneurs to help and guide during these difficult times. I should say different times and not difficult times. Having traveled the world and the country at large, in the length and breadth of the country, Mr. Arun is also conversant with Tamil, English, Hindi, Bengali, and Assamese. Well, without much delay, let me call upon Mr. Arun Subramaniam to enlighten all of us. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, friends. Nice having you all on the platform. And we will begin.
Good morning.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Mrs. Balaji, for your excellent words. Thank you, all of you, for your Sunday. Now, let's start the program without much ado by asking a very simple question. Among the various factors responsible for the evolution of man, what is that one thing which is robust, which cannot be affected by anything? No disease touches it. It is beyond the reach of any affliction. What is that one thing which is age independent? Whatever your age may be, whether you're 1 year old or 100 years old, it is there with you. Whatever your condition may be, it is there with you. It is robust. What is it which has the least variability? Irrespective of what your age is, what your experience is, it is there next to you. What is it which is IQ independent? People revel in talking about emotional intelligence. They talk about intelligence quotients. They talk about so many other things to differentiate people. But at the foundation of every individual, this is there. That is why it has been able to drive evolution so very efficiently for thousands of years, for hundreds of thousands of years. What is it? And what is it above all which is common between species? Can any one of you tell me, friends? What is that one thing which is at the forefront of evolution? Take a guess. Unmute and tell me. What is it that we are talking about?
Necessity.
Human spirit.
Reptilian brain.
Adaptability.
Language.
Inquiry.
Sir, good morning. It is necessity.
It is learning.
Survival.
The will to
Reptilian brain.
Change.
Adaptability. Yes.
Survival.
Anybody
will to
else?
excel. The will to
Thanks a
excel.
lot, friends. Thanks a lot.
Hunger.
Future.
Human spirit.
Sir, curiosity.
Human spirit.
Survival.
Curiosity, sir.
Survival instinct.
Instinct.
Peace, sir. Peace.
Peace.
Passion.
Great. All these have been necessary. All these are necessary. But at the forefront, driving human evolution is, friends, please mute after you unmute. Driving evolution through centuries, through hundreds of thousands of years, has been one thing, which is implicit learning. Let's move beyond implicit learning definitions and understand what is implicit learning and why I say, or why cognitive scientists, why social psychologists say that implicit learning is what has driven evolution. What is implicit learning? You see here two children building a sandcastle. They have built quite a good structure, you will agree with me. By the way, which school of architecture did they attend? Or which civil engineering curriculum did they go through? Who their professors were? And how did they teach them? You are right, my dear friends, if you think that they have not attended any college or university. After all, who would have them at this age? But then, what is the process through which they have undergone this understanding and this knowledge that it should be built like this? That learning process is called the implicit learning. The learning of complex information in an incidental manner, without awareness of what has been learned. They have learned to build this sandcastle without even being aware that they are learning. You can see here how the process occurs. See the same children sitting here with their parents. The mother is building a sandcastle. At a distance, his father is bringing water in a vessel. If you observe, you will realize that the sand towers resemble what can be produced by compacting sand in that vessel and inverting it. Do you see that?
Yes.
Do you see the structure here?
Yes.
Just imagine if this had been inverted, it would look like this. He's bringing water so that the sand can be wetted to help it compact. Through a family pastime on a seashore, a learning is taking place. This is implicit learning. Implicit learning occurs through passive, incidental, and automatic acquisition. When colleges were not there, when teachers were not there, when education protocol was not there, how did man from the first day understand how to conquer his surroundings, survive, grow? It is only through implicit learning. That is why you and I are sitting here suited, booted, in the relative comfort of our home, talking about implicit learning. This, my dear friend, is evolution. Adult learning till now was explicit learning. The other day in a forum, our members asked a question about how to interest the participants on the online platform. The members answered, give them activities, ask questions, prompt responses. By the way, are we trying to replicate the classroom training onto the online training? When teaching in a classroom, we tend to think in terms of particular activity types, each with their own formats and associated expectations, all of which are very clear to both the students and the faculty. Module plans typically encompass series of lectures, tutorials, practical lessons, each with a time, a place, and a well-rehearsed set of activities. As all the teachers and academicians here will confirm, in a classroom or lecture theaters, students know their primary role is to listen and to take notes, perhaps asking questions occasionally, answering questions, and having discussions. But my dear friends, on the online platform, everything has changed. You can see here, this lady is on an online platform. The laptop is open. So is the mobile phone on her hand. And where is her concentration? Most students have limited experience of learning online. It's not always clear what to do. And unless intentionally planned, for many of them, the invisible supports that they are habituated to, that they have taken for granted, have simply vanished. On the online platform, these familiar cues have disappeared. So what is it that the teachers, the trainers, the academicians are faced with? What are the biggest challenges? The biggest challenges in front of teachers, trainers, and academicians on an online platform is to understand what gets learned and what does not. How many of us have thought about this in this angle? Have we tried to analyze and evaluate what gets learned and what does not? What kind of stimuli do people hook on to, and why do they neglect others? Some stimuli hook people, but there are many stimuli which otherwise would have hooked a person on a classroom, falls flat on its face on the online platform. And finally, why are some classes of associations formed with ease and others only with labored, and that too through a trial and error method? These questions are the biggest challenges to the teachers and the trainers. My dear friend, as they say, don't look back. Yesterday is not going to come back. The past is gone, dead and buried. The future unknown and the present, these are the challenges in front of you. And unless you answer these challenges, it's not going to work. And these challenges are what are addressed by implicit learning. Let us understand this abstract idea of implicit learning through something which happened in 1980. Here in front of you are a group of students who have undertaken a project to map the ocean floor. And that was going to be turned into a documentary with the help of a very, very renowned producer and director called Peter Gruber. This is the story of Ocean Quest, a TV series. where they, with the help of expert divers, these group of students were going to map the ocean floor from Antarctica to Baja California to Micronesia, a film of an aquatic adventure. And this is the yard shape or whatever you want to call it, which was going to help them in it. We all know that the waters around Havana, Cuba are very important for this because the seafaring traffic moves from Spain towards the Gulf of Mexico only through those waters. Cuba at that time during the 80s and 90s was ruled by Fidel Castro. It was a communist country, a deadly enemy of America. This is the waters around the Havana harbor. One of the planned segments critical to the success of the series was to explore the forbidden waters of Havana harbor. Why do I say forbidden waters? Because neither America nor Cuba were interested in granting permission to these group of students to film underwater here. Neither the US government nor the Cuban government were willing. But with great difficulty, with the help of Henry Kissinger and Alexander Haig, the students were able to get the permission of the American government to go and film in Cuba, but the Cuban government was unrelenting. Nevertheless, the group, having invested millions of dollars, started off to Havana and reached there. The unfortunate part of it was the Havana government was unrelenting. But looking at the pressure which the American government was putting through the academic forums and the presence of the students with their equipments there, the Cuban government relented to the extent that they said Fidel Castro was coming to the harbor for some other work. He was willing to spend 10 minutes of his time, just 10 minutes of his time with the students. When Castro arrived, he was shown all the equipment and the plans. As it was being explained to him, Fidel Castro looked bored. He was fiddling with something. Suddenly, Peter Guber intervened and started talking about the history of the Cuban waters. He started talking about Megalodon, a shark which was prevalent in the waters 25 million to 1.5 million years ago, a predator of a size which was unimaginable. 52 feet in length, it had teeth which are 12 inches long and 7 inches broad. It was a killer, it was a predator. It controlled the entire waters. He presented a fossilized tooth to Fidel Castro. He went on to talk about how the pirates who were ruling this water controlled the seafaring ships during that time and how those ships which were robbed were all sunken there in that water. The beauty of it is the 10 minutes promised by Castro extended to 4 hours. And when Castro disembarked from that floating ship or yacht or whatever you want to call it, he had signed a permission to the team to roam entire Cuban waters and to film whatever was required underwater for that project. Friends, Ocean Quest became one of the most viewed documentary in the 80s and 90s after that. It became the most popular. Later on, Peter Guber was asked why he intervened. He answered that as Castro was being shown the equipment and the plan of the script of the serial, he could see that Castro was thoroughly bored and not interested. But he also saw that Castro was silhouetted against the blue ocean background. Suddenly a picture flashed in his mind, this picture of a megalodon about which he had read long time back. Along with it flashed the pictures of pirates. He imagined, envisioned how the pirates must have roamed the waters and attacked the ships. He jumped in and started explaining it to Castro. And then as a part of his statement, he said, the sea belongs to all humankind. So does history. You, Sir Castro, are the steward of Havana's history, and it's up to you to share it with the world. Bang. The permission was there with them. A wonderful example of how implicit learning works. I'm sure when Peter read those books where the megalodon was mentioned, he had no idea that it will come in useful. When he had heard the stories of those pirates ruling the waters around Havana, I'm sure he had no idea that it is going to come in handy one day. But the brain is such a complicated organ. At the most opportune moment, the subconscious threw up to the conscious the picture of the megalodon and helped him envision the pirates. And that became a defining moment in the history of the ocean quest. The brain, my dear friends, is a very complicated, creative information processing system. As technology advanced from primitive to modern, the metaphors used to describe the brain also advanced. It all started initially with it being compared with a wax tablet. From then on, mankind moved to describing it as a papyrus, piece of papyrus on which was inscribed information, then on to a book. And today, we don't tire of comparing our brain to a computer. Keep in mind that the usefulness of these metaphors is limited and can lead to erroneous conclusion. But one thing is definite. We know much more today than the early man did. And we know how information is processed. We have scratched the surface of how the brain works. Information processing begins with inputs from the sensory organs. The sensory organs like touch, heat, sound waves, photons of light get converted into electrochemical signals. And the traffic is totally controlled by attention filters, which decide what we want to pay attention to and what we should not. Remember, 11 million bits of information are getting into the brain every second, and man is aware of only 40 of them. Which 40 is decided by the attention filters. From there, we move on to storage. How do we store these information so that we can retrieve them? Let us briefly understand each of them, just a cursory glance, so that we can understand the mechanism in a limited mandate of this workshop. Let us briefly understand input from the sensory organs, which transform physical stimuli into electrochemical exchanges. The sensory information is repeatedly transformed by the algorithm of the brain in both a bottoms-up and top-down manner. For example, looking at the picture of a black box, bottoms-up processing together puts together information about the color, the orientation, where the borders of the objects are, what are the color changes around the border. All these information is automatically being processed, while top-down processing converts all these information to let you know that it's a box which is there. It's not a hole in that background. It's a box. Once information is processed to a degree, an attention filter decides how important the signal is and which cognitive process it should be made available to. For instance, let us say you are attending an interview. You suddenly look down. What is visible to you? Your shoes, your polished shoes. You start assessing. Please mute. You start assessing whether the shoes are neatly polished, what sort of an impression you will be making with it. Whereas if you have dropped the coin and you have to look down, you would not be looking at your shoes. You will try to look for where the coin has rolled to. In a crowded room with lot of noise, suddenly you hear only your name being spoken somewhere, and your attention is drawn to that group of people where that name was spoken. This is the job of the attention filters. It prevents you from noticing other things not relevant to that context and that time. And then, in order for the brain to process information, it must be stored. There are multiple types of memory, including sensory, working, long-term, all sorts of memories are there. In what way it is going to be stored is all dependent upon how the information is stored, what the information means to you. You have the long-term memory responsible for storage of information for an extended period of time. Short-term memory stores information for as short as just 3 seconds, and it could extend up to 20 seconds. Then you got the semantic memory, a type of long-term memory involving the capacity to recall words, concepts, numbers, which is essential for the use and understanding of language.
Yes.
Then you have got the episodic memory, a category of long-term memory that involves recollection of specific events, situations, experiences. The memory of your first day at school, first day at college, your, maybe 19th birthday or your first teen, all these things are there in this memory. Sensory memory is a short-term memory where you are capable of recalling your sensations and feelings. Like this, lots of memories are there. Expletive memory is the conscious, intentional learning, recollection, which takes place in classrooms when you are guided by your manager, by your organization, when rules are given to you. And implicit, the one thing which has been driving evolution all along, where you're totally unconscious of what you're learning. Implicit memory is what makes a bride who enters into her in-laws' house, into the boss of that house, where she knows everybody and everything. No one has given her a standard operating procedure to go by. No one has given her the biodata of the people, but still by observations, by interaction, by experience, she learns everything and starts controlling everything over a period of time. And finally, we come to retrieval. Once stored memories eventually must be retrieved from storage. Remembering past events is not like watching a recorded movie video. It's rather a process of reconstructing what may have happened based on the details the brain chose to store and was able to recall. This is very important for a trainer because it helps him drive his training. Recall is triggered by retrieval cue, an environmental stimulus that prompts the brain to retrieve a particular memory. Evidence shows that the better the retrieval cue is, faster, the higher the chance of recalling that memory. Let us understand it with an example. This is Amy. I'm sure you all have experienced this particular thing must have happened in your life, that you go to a party, suddenly you see in a distance somebody waving at you with a big broad smile on his face, you wave back. For the life of you, you can't remember what his name is. For the life of you, you don't know where you have met him. For the life of you, you can't understand how you are smiling at him because he looks so familiar, why he is smiling at you, in what way you're connected. Then the entire party, you hide behind pillars, you hide behind people, not wanting to come face to face with him because you simply do not know what to talk to him. What is the context? What is the reference? And the funny part of it is, you don't see him at all after that. Because he, like you, is also hiding behind people, hiding behind pillars, because he is also unable to remember anything. Has this happened to you, friends?
Yes, sir. Yes, it has happened.
Yes, sometimes.
Now, why did it happen? Your entire party is now ruined. You keep hiding. So what do? The issue here is not that the brain has not stored the information. You could recognize that you have seen him somewhere. You could realize that you know him. That's why you smiled at him. And you do know him because otherwise you would not have tried to recall his name and the circumstances under which you have been introduced to him. But for the life of you, you can't do it. But it is still there somewhere. Somewhere it has been stored. You just don't know where to go and look for because the retrieval clue is extremely weak. Let us understand how this retrieval clue works. A metaphor to understand this aspect of memory can be Velcro. You all know Velcro, isn't it? You put it, it sticks to it. The new information is like a hook. And if the hook finds a loop, then it connects. But if the hook finds no loop, it doesn't. It just gets stored at random and you can't bring it. You can't bring it forward. Now I want to ask you a question. What is the name of this person? Pin drop.
Annie. Annie.
Correct. Correct. Amy. But how difficult did you find to get it?
Not difficult at all. Because
For you, maybe. Good. I'm very happy that you've got a very powerful memory. But many people here would have found it difficult. Now let me show you a way by which you can very easily remember your name. You will not forget it till your dying days. On the right-hand side, you see Emmy receiving the Emmy Award. This is a photoshopped picture, by the way. She really did not receive an Emmy Award. But the moment you hear the word Emmy, if you were to create an association with the Emmy Award, then the retrieval hook has been put. When you see her next, you'll immediately remember that you had created an Emmy Award association in your mind and you would be able to remember it. It's profoundly important because this aspect of memory gives rise to one of the most foundational principles of impactful presentation. By definition, whenever we present in some measure, we want our material to be remembered by the people who are there as participants in the group. But if the present information is given without context, then you are virtually guaranteeing that they will forget about it. One of the first people to stimulate the thought of an education protocol was Ebbinghaus. Ebbinghaus was a social psychologist who did a study on forgetfulness, how long the message or the teaching is remembered. And he found that within 30 minutes of whatever it is taught, people forget it. At the end of 2 days, nearly 98% is forgotten. So just imagine, you are all sitting here today. How much are you going to remember? So it is necessary for the presentation to be such that it should contain hooks at every step so that the implicit learning is driven. Create an association. But then now we come to the most important aspect of it. The important aspect is all theory. Where is the practice? How do you apply it so that it can become a learning? The credit of turning all this knowledge and theory into an applicable format by explaining the various elements and their relationship to learning goes to a relatively unknown person called C.S. Peirce. How many of you have heard of the gentleman called C.S. Peirce? Has anyone heard?
No, sir.
Huh?
No. Shakespeare we have.
C.S. Peirce lived between the years 1839 to 1914. If I had to ask you, do you remember Bloom and his Bloom's taxonomy? I am sure 100% of you will say yes. But then remember, Bloom's taxonomy came between the year 1953 to 1957. Nearly half a century after what C.S. Peirce had propounded. He had propounded the community of inquiry. Charles Sanders Peirce worked as a logician, mathematician, astronomer, chemist, but he is best known as the American pragmatic philosopher who founded semiotics in the modern conception. He was the founder of semiotics. Much is argued about Peirce's philosophy due to the fragmented state of his work, because he didn't hold any professional academic position throughout his life. The greater portion of Peirce's contribution remained unpublished till 1950, when John Dewey, along with his friends Lady Victoria and William James, brought out Peirce's studies. That is why the community of inquiry is credited to both Peirce and Dewey. What he had propounded between the year 1839 and 1914 came out only in the 1950s because of John Dewey, and came to be known as the community of inquiry. The philosophical conception concerning human subjectivity and consciousness. Just imagine. So many years back, 150, 160 years back, somebody had already spoken about all these things, which are now going to be used. The community of inquiry divides learning into three stages: cognitive presence, teaching presence, and social presence. Now, how are they integrated? Let us see that. One of the most widely used and researched framework for online teaching is community of inquiry. Randy Garrison, Terry Anderson, and Walter Archer in 2001 brought out this community of inquiry, breathed fresh life into it after 100 years after it had been propounded, to help people understand how online teaching should be driven. Again, the same three: cognitive presence, which starts with defining the goals and direction of what you want to teach. What is the supporting discourse for it? How you are going to regulate learning. This is what happens to be the first thing: cognitive presence. The second part is the teaching presence. Again, the teaching presence, which is created by the teacher, the trainer, the academician, holding the platform of a mentor. What are his goals and directions? Based upon the regulated learning defined in the cognitive presence, how is he going to set the climate in which his goals are going to be achieved? That is the teaching presence. And now for the social presence, the platform on which this teaching is going to take place. You have got a supporting discourse on one side, you have got the climate on the other. Now, how are you going to engage the participants so that the learning is driven? This is what is the social presence. The combination of this cognitive presence, teaching presence, and social presence is what is going to drive entire teaching and learning in the implicit world of online learning. This can be very well understood by a particular, fable of which we are all acquainted. The community of inquiry, which is abbreviated as COI, when it was introduced by Peirce and Dewey, the parable of the blind men and the elephant was given as an example. The person who held the tails said it looked like a rope. For the person who touched the body, it looked like a wall. For him who held his legs, it looked like a tree. All of them were partly right and all of them were fully wrong. But just imagine, if all of them had come together and shared their knowledge, definitely they would not have been able to construct an elephant, but they would have come very near to understanding what it is to the different perspectives. Now, that is what is called creating a cognitive presence. The cognitive presence has got two processes in it. two elements in it. The cognitive presence has a process, and to drive that process, you require a strategy. What is the process to drive cognitive learning? First, as we saw, you require a trigger. A triggering event is required to stimulate the mind to start its exploration of its repository of knowledge, so that it can integrate all the information which has been made available to it to resolve the problem which it is facing. This is the process. The process begins with a triggering element, which will trigger the mind of the participants to start the exploration. Once the exploration begins, all the information with the temporal, occipital, and parietal lobes of your brain will start picking up from the subconscious. They will all be integrated, and then in a contextual manner, the resolution will take place. So what is the strategy that a trainer can use? There are many strategies a trainer can use. Today, we are going to be talking about one such strategy. That strategy begins with pose a problem. This is the trigger. You pose a problem to the participants. The problem, when the participants get it into their head, it becomes a thought-provoking question. Now encourage the participants to make that thinking explicit. Provide them with a case study in the form of a problem, a case study model. Now let them start looking for answers. As they are looking for answers, anticipate the misconceptions which are going to arise in their mind, because you have created the problem in such a way that anticipate the misconceptions will arise. That is where your mastery lies. Now clear those misconceptions. Probe their responses. Give them slightly more information so that the responses are probed. They probe their responses themselves. What in the taxonomy of cognitive learning is called metacognition. They probe their responses. You encourage their perspective by releasing more information. Help them make the connections. Introduce fresh material. Finally, assist in critical thinking. This is the strategy. Let me repeat it once more, because we are going to move on to the case study. Let me repeat this process once more. Pose a problem. Encourage thinking. Clear misconceptions. Help them probe the responses. Encourage perspectives. Help make connections. Introduce materials and assist in critical thinking. If you can create a program like this, you can drive implicit learning in any audience. As I said, IQ is not an issue. Age is not an issue. Experience is not an issue. Variability is not an issue. Implicit learning is robust at all stages. Now let us go to the case study. Are we ready, friends?
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, let's see the case study. For 3 years on a trot, there was a 10% slide in the tobacco consumption in the United States of America during the late 60s. That is, for over 1,000 days, continuously, tobacco sales kept on reducing in the late 60s. Tobacco companies reacted by increasing the ad spend, but suddenly they stopped all television and radio ads and shifted to print media towards the end of the 60s. They stopped all television ads, they stopped all radio ads and shifted to print ad only in 1960s, in the 60s, late 60s. They let out statistics which showed a reduction of 33% of total marketing expenditure. That means because of stopping radio and television ads, marketing expenditure had reduced by 33%. That means if they were spending $1 million on marketing expenses, they were now spending only $330,000. It had reduced by 66% to 33%. They even surprisingly supported a total ban on TV and radio ads for cigarettes, leading to a total ban in 1971. When the government, the Congressional Committee, proposed a total ban on TV and radio ads for cigarette smoking, use of tobacco, the industry supported the ban. And in 1971, the ban was put into place. And friends, since 1971, cigarettes cannot be advertised on TV and radio in the United States. Even now, it cannot be advertised. Surprisingly, now comes a real surprise. The move led to an increase in the sales of cigarettes. The industry soon recovered the losses and growth continued. For 3 years on a trot, there was a 10% slide in tobacco consumption in the United States during the late 1960s. Tobacco companies reacted by increasing the ad spend, but suddenly they stopped all television and radio ads and shifted to print media towards the end of 1960s. They let out statistics which showed a reduction of 33% of the total marketing expenditure. They even surprisingly supported a total ban on TV and radio ads for cigarettes, leading to a total ban from 1971, even though these were the most popular and effective medium. Remember, TV and radio were the most popular and effective medium to advertise. They stopped it. They supported a ban on it. Surprisingly, this move led to an increase in the sales of cigarettes. The industry soon recovered the losses and the growth continued. This is the case study. What are we going to do? I'm going to split this 111 people who are on the platform into breakout rooms, 11 breakout rooms of 10 each. And you are going to be given around 30 to 45 minutes. Research the US tobacco industry between 1960 and 70 to get relevant information. Why did the tobacco companies stop TV and radio ads and shift to print medium? Why? Why did they stop the TV and radio ads? Why did the tobacco companies support the ban and not fight it? Incidentally, they had appealed in the Supreme Court, it was turned down. Why did the tobacco companies support the ban and not fight it? Why has this case become a landmark study of coup in the field of marketing? Remember, it is being studied in various premier educational institutions as a coup in the field of marketing. Why? And finally, prepare a short presentation of 10 minutes to help explain and drive the insights. Each team will have to prepare a presentation of 10 minutes to drive the insights. How will you present this case to your participants if you were to conduct a program on this so that they will get the learning about the insight? That is going to be the objective of the breakout rooms. Can you all take a screenshot of this? Please take a screenshot of this case study. Have you taken a screenshot?
No, 1 second, 1 second.
1 second, sir.
Taken.
Now, take a screenshot of this.
Taken.
Yes, sir.
Now, let us do one thing. Let me create the breakout.
Sir, can you
rooms.
show the previous slide again?
Which slide, madam?
The case study.
Yes, sir. Take a screenshot so that you can read it in the comfort of your breakout room to discuss. Okay?
Okay.
Can I move on, madam?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Now take a screenshot of this. You have to research about the US tobacco industry. There are going to be at least 10 people per room. Why did the tobacco company stop TV, radio ads and shift to print medium? Why did the tobacco company support the ban and not fight it? Why has the case become a landmark study of a coup in the field of marketing? Prepare a short presentation of 10 minutes to help explain and drive the insight. What is the insight from this entire case study? Now I'm creating breakout room.
Mr. BP or Mr. Mohan can help.
Please join.
With pleasure.
The breakout rooms have been created. You all will have 30 to 45 minutes to do your research and create your PowerPoint presentation. Then identify and select one person who will give the presentation. I request all of you to join immediately. Please mute. I hope you all know how to join. Madam Gumadi Prashanti, can you please join the breakout rooms? Mr. Kamal Mehta, Mr. Manikandan Ramalingam, can you please join the rooms, please? Madam Gumadi Prashanti, can you please join the rooms? Mr. Manikandan? Madam Rama, can you please join the room? Mr. Sukumar, Mr. Suresh Kapati. Mr. Chinmaya, please join the room. In Phoenix, Hot 8, I think it is Mr. Seshan. Dr. Kalpana Dixit, can you please join the room? Yes.
That option is not coming, sir.
What?
That option to join is not coming on my screen, sir.
Why?
My
Why?
stations.
Infinix Hot, isn't it?
Yes, sir. But I don't know, sir. Why is
You check the right hand side top corner or left hand side top corner.
Oh, yes, yes, it's coming, sir, now.
Yeah, please join. Please join immediately. Have you joined?
Yeah, he has joined. You have to join.
Mr. Chandrasekhar. Mr. Chandrasekhar, please join the room. Dr. K. Brahmaraju, can you please join the room? Anushka Jevikar, please join the room. Mr. Sudarshan, VSV Sudarshan, please join the room. Ms. Bharti Kumawat, please join the room. Ms. Pooja Bakshi. Please don't lose this opportunity to have hands-on experience of how to create a program on implicit learning. Suresh Kapiti. Suresh Kapiti. Welcome back, friends. I hope you had an interesting time in the breakout rooms.
Sure. Yes, sir.
Interesting
and exciting.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Arun Chidambaram here. Now only we knew the history itself. So nice of you. Wonderful opportunity.
And true to style, we believe that the time was too short.
In fact, we have not even realized that tobacco advertisements banned in TV. Only now I realize, sir. Thank you, sir.
Not only that, we smoke a lot of cigarettes.
So some learning took place.
It is experience counts.
A lot of implicit learning took place, sir. Yes, sir.
Experience counts. Experience counts.
Definitely.
Okay, now let's see
We
what
went to-
you can teach your participants through your presentation. The whole idea is
We have to Google, uncle.
create a presentation. You know, the whole case study goes towards one singular insight.
Yeah.
So what is that all-consuming insight which stands test under all circumstances? That is what the case study is all about.
Yes.
Now, I went through all the rooms, and one particular room was very, very interesting. They were hitting the nail on the head, and I don't know whether they have driven it into the wall or not. So
Which
let's
room, sir?
begin. I will not tell. The prerogative of maintaining the mystery and the suspense is mine.
Yeah, I think it was room number 1.
Let's see. We will see. We will start with, okay. So I think it was Danny's voice which I heard.
Yes, Mr. Arun.
So we start with you. Room number 1. Let's have the presentation.
Mr. Arun,
Yes.
Yeah.
You want me to give
I
you,
think there is.
screen sharing rights? Who should get it?
Mr. Arun, can we go the reverse order from 11 to 1?
That makes total sense.
Word is final.
Suma, I had a word with Arun, and he said that you are going to start first.
Just a minute. Screen share screen. Now, how do I give screen sharing?
No, anybody can share the screen.
Suma.
now.
Yeah, Suma
Anybody can share
will,
the screen?
Yes, yes.
Fine.
yeah, Suma will do it. Suma will do it.
sharing.
Give Suma the screen sharing rights, DP.
Anybody can share the screen now.
Okay, come on.
Okay.
Let's have the team
All the
number
best,
1.
Suma.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, let me take you to the first one. 1 second, please. I hope people are able to see the screen.
Yeah.
We are seeing that you have started screen
Yes.
sharing.
Okay. I've started my screen share. You know, we have named it as a smoke out solution. In 1960s, there was
Suma, sorry to disturb. Can you put on the screen slide share?
okay, sure. I forgot. Okay. See, in 1960s, you know, there was 57% of consumption of tobacco in US. Why? Because the doctors, the dentists, and the celebrities of Hollywood movies were endorsing this, and it had become a fashion for everyone. Even the magazines were endorsing it in 1960s. You know, in 1957 it started. In 1960s, people were endorsing, and the magazines were endorsing, and then it became that anybody can use it. Then 18% of the people, the younger population, started using, and women started using it. That's when the government, the Congress, realized and brought out a Surgeon General's report that it says it has major health challenges with smoking. That's when all this evolution of banning the print, the TV ads started. Why they were able to promote tobacco on TV and radio was they were sponsoring shows, the cartoon shows, the game shows, and that's how they were able to produce or project themselves on the media, on the electronic media. When the ban came, because the Surgeon General report said it has ill effects on the health, and they also wanted to promote this on the cigarette packs, that did not go too well with them. And the Congress decided to ban the ads, and they were not allowed to promote any shows. That is when the decline in the cigarette consumption started in the late 1960s. Then what happened was, they decided for all these things, and they said, for the reason unknown, or for the reason which said, the trade came down by 10%, it's because of, let me go back to the slide. Yeah. Let me go back. 1 second, give me a moment, please. I'll go back to my thing.
You got 5 more minutes.
Yes. So then, when they were not promoting and they were not allowed to promote, and print media was picking up, there was a boom in the print media, and the Federal Trade had done this. They started shifting to the print media so that the print media will reach out to every corner of the country. And that's when they decided this. Since there was a ban on this and the Congress had banned this, they were also the lobbyists. They were also supporting the political lobbying for the tobacco industry was promoting. Once the ban happened, they shifted to the print media, where it came down to 33%, their spend came down to 33%, but the reach was by and large huge. Then what happened was they started decoying movement. It was a decoy. Once you start supporting a movement and when people see, okay, the tobacco manufacturers are supporting the movement, they thought, okay, let us also, if they are supporting the movement, we will, there should be something. And slowly they started, the sales increased because of this decoy approach. They started empathizing the public sentiments. When the empathizing started, people started, thinking that because they are empathizing, let us, take one cigarette. So that is how it started. And slowly the, sale of the cigarettes went up. Happened with the sustainability. The business was there. It was an innovative decoy effect, but it went up. This is our presentation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anything else? Did I miss the group? Danny?
No, Suma, you are perfect. You are perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
can you stop the screen sharing, please?
Yes.
The first, you did a great job.
Yeah. Now we will move on to team number 2. Good attempt, Suma, and team number 1. Definitely a very good attempt.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, team.
But still the insight is missing, Suma.
Yes, sir. We were short of time. That's the reason, but yeah, we missed it.
See, I'll tell you one thing. The way you people were going, you wouldn't have reached the insight.
Yes.
That much I can tell you. Given the eternity also, it would have been very difficult to reach the insight.
Yes.
Because there were some critical elements missing in this. Then we will see. But there are groups here who have spoken about it. Yes, yes. Group number 2, please. But very good attempt, huh? By the way. Very, very good attempt.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Number 2. Who is going to present on behalf of team number 2?
This is Madam Pushpa.
Yes, please.
Can I get the screen sharing, sir? Or I can speak also, no problem.
You can screen share, madam.
Can you view my screen, sir?
No, you can't see your screen. Yeah.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. My team members are Mr. Chidambaram, Pratiksha, Ira, Tasneem, Sukumar, and Gopalakrishnan. So on behalf of everyone, I am just summarizing. The problem what we found is the adolescents got influence, which was bad for the families and country as a whole. And in 1964, there was a report about how injurious tobacco is.
Please mute. Yes, continue, Madam Pushpa.
To everyone's health and its other side effects too. And then it followed. In 1965, all the cigarette packages had to carry warning labels. In 1970, as we already know, the television and radio advertisements were totally banned. In 1988, it was banned on US flights too. In 1998, the carrier flights also became smoke-free. The tobacco companies also lost the legal battles to show ads as the excise on cigarettes also increased. Now, still the sales increased. Why? The doctors and nurses started smoking because the nicotine in the cigarette is what gave them momentary pleasure, which rejuvenated them. After each puff, they had to have fresh cigarettes, which they also recommended to everyone. Thereby, this increased the sale of the cigarette company. The addicted adolescents were already addicted. Now, they, along with the women who started smoking, top brands, they wanted to show the social status. Cigarette companies now started sponsoring games and shows. As per scientific evidences, also the media ads did not improve the sales. That is why they were immediately ready to and agreed to stop the TV and radio ads. Yes, sir. This is what we have come up with.
Thank you. Thank you, madam. You can stop the
you.
screen share. Lots of information. Thank you. Thank you for all the information. I think a lot of research has gone into it. People have been very busy inside the breakout room.
Thank you, Pushpa and Sumaji, for good presentation.
Now, can we move on to number 3, please? Team number 3.
Yes, sir. This
Yes.
is Nitika. Just make me the co-host.
You can share the screen as it is, Nitika ji.
So this was prepared the last 5 minutes only. When sir announced that we only have 5 minutes, and the person who was supposed to share got unstable internet.
Never mind.
So,
please proceed. You
5
got only
minutes
10
work.
minutes.
Not proud of the way it is presented, but we had no choice. So let's talk about
Never mind. Yeah.
the history. When tobacco really started, what did they present to people? What stayed in the minds of people? They saw tobacco. If you are smoking, there was glamour in it. You are, royalty. You are upmarket. There was a lot of couple time stated. In fact, it was shown as if you can please a woman and a woman can please a man if you are smoking. They also spoke about taste. Over a period of time, they started talking about that, okay, we are selling something which is light on your throat and not causing any throat problem to you. So the Marlboro lights came into place. Now, they even talked about pleasure. They said appetizing before starting your meal. So how many times you eat in a day? At least 3 times? But it is an appetizer. You can have it before the meal. You can multitask. So they also included during their work plan. So if you are working, just take a smoke and work. It'll give you better ideas and you can perform better. It was in the minds of people. But then what changed over a period of time? And the way we saw the ads, clearly people were facing throat issues. Clearly people understood that there are not as many benefits of smoking. It is just a cloud that was shared, that was in their mind that you look cool if you are smoking. But then why people, later on the government, there were a lot of anti campaigns that happened. Something like this, which says that kids learn fast. How it impacted people. There was a lot of moral responsibility among smokers and people who could possibly smoke. Now, a lot of mass appeal was coming to these I think the word is wrong, well, not anti-bans, but it was mass appeal to the anti-campaign of smoking. So people would state that why you shouldn't smoke. So people were starting to like that. And what the industries really thought was, it is better that we are not there out there in the marketing and in the TV and ads and radio. We much rather be on the shelf, because our business comes from selling from the shelf. So they were okay, even if these ads were not there anymore, because there were no anti-smoking campaigns that were running loud and clear, which was reducing their sales. So when the when the campaign was stopped, automatically the anti-smoking campaign was also stopped. Their sales increased. What was the reason for the increase in the sales? It was the addiction. People were used to that taste. They were used to that routine. So there were few people addicted to it. There wasn't anybody telling them anymore and showing them images of children or showing them images of side effects or the kind of sad pictures of what it does to the internal organs. Not anymore. What they only remembered were those cool images of people, you know, from like Cleopatra in their mind, that I'm a Cleopatra if I am smoking. So those stayed in their mind, which actually added to the ad campaign. And why a coup? Because the government thought that if they have taken over, people will stop smoking, and you know, this industry is going to stop. But actually the opposite happened. We could only reach till here, and concluded that the tobacco sales are still high, whether we do the ad campaign or not, but the ad, just by seeing something on the shelf, still stays in our mind.
Thank you, Nitika. Thank you. You nearly touched it. Your team has done exceedingly well. Only thing is, there was some problem in putting it all together. Otherwise, you people have done a fantastic job. Superb.
I think we need to thank Nitika. Arun sir, I really need to thank Nikita. We just, I think in the last 2 minutes, she's picked up the PPT there.
I don't know, whatever it is, you will realize what you are. You will realize what you are telling. You will realize what you had found out. But really amazing, huh? In this 30-45 minutes, if you could get all this information, I think it was just a question of given more time. I think you would have all put it together very
Great
well.
teamwork. Yeah.
Yeah, great teamwork. Great teamwork.
Thank you, sir.
And I think you are getting into this implicit learning thing pretty well. Yeah, team number 4, please.
Yes, sir. 1 minute. Let me share my screen. All right, we have 4 slides, and thank you so much for the team. Excellent input, insights.
Who is speaking, please?
This is Chandrasekhar, sir.
Yes, Mr. Chandrasekhar.
Chandru.
Continue.
So the first information is tobacco use and marketing after 1964. So in the US, 1965, 42% of adults were smokers back by then. Out of that, 52% of men, 34% of women. So smoking is quite common, not just in one segment, but both men, women, because it was considered to be a status symbol. And there is no restriction where you need to smoke. You can smoke everywhere. You can smoke in the hospitals. You can smoke while transiting. It could be a bus, train, airplane, wherever. So there is no such restrictions per se. And people started thinking it's part of an a status symbol. And that's where 42% of adults were smoking back by then in the US. The other characteristic, major defining characteristic of smoking prevalence is the socioeconomic status. We just want to add to that. There is a higher smoking rates found among the poor and the less educated, where the consumption was like pretty high and they got addicted to. And in the mid 1960s, it was still common to see doctors, athletes. These are all like people who have been great icons, right? Be it a radio star or a movie star, we call it as RJ and DJ, right? Radio jockey and TV jockeys. All these celebrities were also smoking, and they were also been advertising different cigarette brands. So you could imagine there are a lot of brands and these people are advertising. And cigarette companies were the major sponsors of popular shows on all 3 television networks that was available in the America back by then. So any popular show, it's all sponsored by the cigarette companies. This is the research that we went through on the tobacco use. Why did they put a control after the ban? Why did they want to switch over to print media? That information is what you could see here. So in 1964, Surgeon General's report received widespread media coverage and prompted a decline in cigarette sales. And it's only for 2 months, not more, because the cigarette companies came back by adding a cautionary label appeared on cigarette packs stating the cigarette smoking may be hazardous to your health, which means it's not it. They were actually challenging whatever the surgeon report that has come back by then. And the other thing that they wanted to switch over from TV and the radio to print media is there are a lot of anti-smoking advertisements. They began to air on television as part of a federal communication fairness doctrine. And that's where, if you look at it, how much it has gone to the extent of for every cigarette advertisement aired, there should be an anti-smoking advertisement. So the compliance with this ruling was incomplete, as in cigarette ads ran into a ratio of 4:1 compared to anti-smoking ads. So, and it was also been totally banned in television and radio in 1971, which also put an end to the fairness doctrine advertisement. So, which means there is no choice for these companies to come out of the cigarette and advertisements in television and radio. Now, the interesting part. Ban on TV and radio, it's actually a blessing in disguise. The reason is, one, for the cigarette companies, it's a cost saving, because TV and radio advertisement cost is very high, which is evident from the case study. 33% of their spend is declined because they moved over to print media. The other is the print media has a wider reach, because we saw in the previous slide, the smoking as an habit is found in a lot of uneducated sector. And these are all the people where the print media has a better reach. And as a result of this, it's easier for them to continue with the controversy that they put, like it may harm your hazardous to your health. So people started like taking their own decisions. Okay, it's only May, it's not confirmed yet, and they continue to do it. The third important advantage of ban on TV and radio, why I'm saying blessing in disguise, confusion is avoided. Because had the ban was not there, the television and radio would have continued to say anti-smoking advertisements. Now the ban has come, so they need not have to worry about trying to compete in advertisements in TV and radio. They can completely switch over to the print media. Why it has created a big coup in the field of marketing? We wanted to connect to the sensory learning, what the human brain is very much addicted to, right? If you take a television, it's only two sensory organs, visual and hearing. Wherein in a radio, it's only hearing. But when it comes to a print, it can impact multiple sensory organs. It could be on seeing it, reading it, and they can also, like, it's not just like a one-time 30 seconds of an advertisement in a TV or radio. In a print, it is always there. You can see it every now and then. So it creates a kind of a repetitive in the minds. And a very important point, the youth, their implicit learning all through the years are through reading only. So more than television, radio, which is all not something through which they had their learning, because it's through the print media, the youth continue to believe that, and given the benefit of doubt to the companies, and by then they also got addicted to it. And even today, tobacco industry is still dominating in spite of all the, even on the cigarette pack, you put a picture, you put a text, still the industry is, ITC as a company, or for that matter, tobacco industry all around the world is still dominating, because there is an uncertainty. There is no scientifically proved to a major mass, as a result of which we continue to go with our implicit learning. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chandrasekhar. Fantastic job done by your team. But as they say, a miss is as good as a mile.
Arun sir, can I add to Mr. Chandrasekhar just for half a minute for our team?
Yes, please.
Thank you so much. I just have a screen share.
You can.
Little louder, ma'am, little louder.
I just wish to share, this is the theme of our presentation, the tobacco tussle. There's no fire without smoke. There was no discussion without the word smoke. This is what I wanted to add. And one more, a beautiful expression about this practice. The elite man smoked a cigar, the woman smoked a cigarette. And with this,
Excellent.
Team 4 ends their presentation.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I wish you had more time.
Yes,
You know,
we never had the
both
time.
you and Nitika's team, that team 3 or whatever it is, you know, and team 1, they were very close. You are just skirting around it. Let's see. Let's go to team number 5. It's very satisfying to see that in 45 minutes, so much can be drawn out, isn't it? I'm sure before you people entered the room, not much about this incident was known to you.
I think Nitika might have tried even smoking to give effect.
Yeah, we will move on to team number 5, please.
1 second. I will share the screen.
Who is it?
I am Nagaraj Kumar.
Yes,
on behalf
from US.
From US.
You should be able to give us a much better insight sitting there.
Yeah, let me try.
Yes, Mr. Nagaraj.
I think PowerPoint mode, its presentation mode is not coming. Is my screen
your
visible?
screen is visible. Continue.
Fine, okay.
You could be able to see it on the top left.
Pardon, top left. You are
Leave it. Let it be as it is. Let us not waste time on all these things.
Fine.
Please continue.
So, good evening.
Yeah.
I would like to start with 2 powerful sayings. One is every crisis is an opportunity. And
Mr. Nagaraj, you got 10 minutes. You got to complete within that. Please.
No issues.
Yeah.
Second, law of conservation of energy. When energy can never be created or destroyed, if it disappears in one form, it reappears in another form.
No, it is not visible. Your thing is not visible. Can you please try again? Scanning. Nothing is visible, excepting that, you know, some text.
Blank.
Please stop screen share and try it again. Try loading again.
Only text is there. Share screen.
Go for slideshow. I think that will give a correct picture.
I think by the time next team goes up, so that they.
Yes. No, it's not gone again. Gone again.
Is it visible now?
No, you get this organized. By the time we'll go to team number 6, we'll come back to 5 later.
Okay.
Please. Or you can send it to one of your colleagues who can do it if you have any problem there.
Sir, Mr. Nagaraj's screen is visible.
I am unable to see anything. If others are able to see, I don't have any problem.
Yeah, we can see Nagaraj. Yeah.
Is it visible?
We cannot see. Implicit learning only is by tobacco.
Only text. I can see only the text.
It has only text.
Okay, go ahead.
Right. That's it. Okay. So I'll continue. See, our team had very interesting session. Every one of us had experiences with tobacco in some form or other. Mr. Nagireddy stole the show with a plethora of information with his encyclopedia experience. And we were sad to note Mr. Mantosh's father died of smoking, chain smoking. We came to know Vishal got hospitalized and advised not to smoke, to learn that he was a passive smoker. Mr. Surendra Shetty shared his, how his close friend, who was a chain smoker, suffered from mouth cancer. Similarly, Mr. Magesh, Mr. Gandhi, Miss Gandhi, Badri, many shared their close emotional experience with smoking. So that's only a start. See, in late 60 and early 70, what was the scenario? The scenario was a total rising opposition because of increase in lung cancer, and public health services mounting a war to, for ban. See, at that time, Mr. Richard Nixon, the famous Watergate person, was ruling the US, and he himself is a chain smoker. And much to his reluctance, these PHS, the CDC guidelines of US, which is very powerful, all associations forced to give a ban on the TV ad of smoking. So that's the starting point. The initial perception is it's a blow to tobacco industry, but it is not. How it is? So when TV ad is banned and ad through magazine is banned in print media, the print media found other methods. They started printing in various promotional campaigns, in T-shirts and in other forms which penetrated into the people. And they also found there was one Virginia Slims who promoted Women's Professional Tennis Association, who promoted this as an opportunity to promote the women's liberation. See, this is a very important point. Women were told cigarettes are torches of freedom. See, Americans have got an image of Statue of Liberty with a flame in the hand.
You have got 3 more minutes, sir.
Yeah, fine.
Please rush. Let us leave the other things aside.
Fine. And the ban was not, so through the women's PTA, Baby You Come a Long Way, Baby was the mad, that's the promotion. And the ban was not supported because the target was made as women. They targeted youth and Afro-Americans. All billboards were with nice smoking. They all purchased by tobacco companies. And in every distribution, advertisements in the markets where near the counters, cigarettes were kept. So in this way, though there is a ban, the sales increased. They reached out to every school, every park, every rural area. There were ads. Youths, teens of 8 to 20 were targeted. Women were targeted. Afro-Americans were targeted. So the good repositioning strategy, psychosocial model of reaching out the people, and the distribution strategy of tobacco helped the success. So what really is our learning is, it's how I would relate to how pandemic has helped the training community. Visibly, we thought our training is stopped. No more training. No, we cannot meet people. But this became a huge opportunity through online. In the same way, an implicit learning is unleashed by tobacco industry, though in a negative connotation, not in a positive connotation, reaching out to masses through repositioning, distribution, attacking the macro model of the youth, attracting the women, attracting in different communities. Like that, they reached out, and tobacco became a huge success in continuously from 70s to 90s to 2016. The sales are only increasing. So this is a phenomenal success of a tobacco industry. I would say they have capitalized on the implicit learning, of course, used in a negative way, but it helped the phenomenal growth of the industry. So in various forms, outwardly there is a ban, but nothing stopped the sale of a cigarette, which is going in mind-boggling numbers year after year, despite
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Can you just stop the screen sharing, please?
Yeah.
Extensive research has been done by the group. Very articulate. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Now we'll move on to group number 6. Please remember, you got 10 minutes. Let's not waste time on pleasantries. Jump into the insight immediately. As a trainer, I think we need to learn that. The attention span is only 9 seconds. People tend to get bored.
Yeah. May I get the access?
You can share the screen.
Yes.
As Mr. Durga Prasad said, everyone can.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Who is it?
It's Dr. Aruna here.
Yes, Dr. Aruna. Welcome. Please.
Thank you. So yeah, let me just go ahead here. Yeah, we couldn't do much though, but yes, whatever I can, I will definitely share. Am I able to?
Yes, madam. We can see you.
Yeah,
you have to enlarge it to the full size.
Yes, I'll do that. It's just 3 slides that I have. It's just, give me a minute, please. So here we are team 6 and all the teammates are like Kalpana, Padmashri, Sucharita, Prakash Chandra, Farooq, Venkat Giri, and myself. But yes, we were not able to because a couple of the teammates were on mute. We were able to do only 2-3 people we were conversating. But yes, let me go ahead here. So when we talk about the reason for banning and smoking advertisement, it is very much known that smoking and health publicly, the industry denied and continues to deny that it is the smoking that causes the health issues, and also understood the nature of its product when it is in the started from the 1950s or earlier in 18th century as well. So when the nicotine and the addiction, the industry got more addicted to it, and more recently it is used as an addictiveness so that it encompasses more of branding, more of selling, more of shopping to everyone, because that is how it is taking the scale up in the sale of the tobacco or the cigarettes. It is very well known that in 1960s, the crucial selling point of the product was the chemical dependence, and the customers, I mean the clients, it was of all age group. It was the youngsters, the middle-aged, and the oldest, women, men, gender biased as well. So the document revealed that the market of young smokers is of the central importance. But then, what was it that made us it stopped the advertisement? Because in 1938, there was a Federal Trade Commission was given the authority to regulate unfair and deceptive advertisement. In spite of this being health issues, it was given the radio and the TV advertised were given. But in 1964 to 69, it led to the ban of radio, television, of advertising. And however, in spite of banning this, it went to the print media. But print media, yes, it is like only the earlier ages were not able to read, but then later part of them, everybody were able to read it. So how does that make up? It's just my point of view. I'm just putting it across. So how does it ban? Because once they know to read and write, they're going through the newspaper, they're going through the print media or any ad given in the magazine, they would be reading it. So how does it give a fall to the addiction? And however, the nicotine addiction, the industry had denied that its product is addictive. It is completely denied, but actually it was not. It is very much addictive and given reasons. So today I'm smoking for the, as my earlier friend said, for stress buster or for the pleasure or for any of the reasons that I'm having this, but then it becomes a habit. So the company, as it says, it doesn't increase the consumption, but then, yeah. The teenagers and children were important for the industry, and the advertisement meant only for the adults. So as the researchers were trying to prove that the carcinogens in the smoke causes cancer, and this posed a threat to the adults when consuming, whether to admit the risk or to find any marketable solutions. But how was it effective from stopping from the radio and the TV? It means that it's only to fight for the brand share, and it does not increase the total consumption. But however, the academic researchers show otherwise. The documents show that advertising is crucial in nurturing the motivation to smoke by creating or projecting the positive values such as independence, machismo, glamour, and all other things. But however, the companies are competing for the market share to increase it, to increase the profit for the age groups. So the industry maintains that its business is only focused on adults. But are we able to focus on that? We are not able to focus on that because it is taking up to each and every aspect. So the tobacco industry's own research finds that, you know, the relationship between the smoking and the cancer, when it really started affecting the health and posed a serious problem for the industry. But then what are the marketable solutions that we are finding? Are they really helpful or they are not helpful? And does the the advertisement really need it? So we were able to fetch out only so much with our research. So
thank you, Dr. Aruna. Thanks a lot. A lot of very, very good insights. In fact, I am learning a lot today about the tobacco industry.
Thank you so
That
much.
that is one good thing that is happening. They are asking you all to present is I am getting a huge amount of information.
That's what it comes up. Thank you.
Yeah, number 7, please.
Yeah, this is Ujjal from Calcutta.
Mr. Ujjal Nath.
Yeah. It's been long.
Yeah, Ujjal, please.
So I was deputed to represent the group. So I'm not good at it, but your learning has taught me to bring to this position. I think over association of 35 years. You're my
incidentally,
mentor.
friends,
You're the one who
Ujjal
got me,
succeeded me in my position in Sipla in Guwahati. It's a Shillong. That was way back in 1981, right, Ujjal?
Yeah. You're the one who got me into the profession. So
Okay,
I have been
come on,
given the
listen.
Mr. Viramani was Mr. Viramani was very enthusiastic of putting me into the group and say that you represent. Though he has given all the idea. We had a group.
Can
Subba
you please
Raju
present
was
the
there.
thing? I can't
Ramchandran.
see the screen. Share the screen, please.
There's no. We haven't made any slide. We haven't made any slides.
Okay. Then DP, can you please focus on Mr. Ujjal? Put the spotlight on it.
Yeah, please switch on your video.
Unmute your video, Ujjal, so that we can see you also.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, Ujjal. Go ahead.
Right, sir. So our group decided maybe the banner in 1961 and the shifting from TV media to print media could be and the sale has gone up, could be the reason that the reach of media is at that time could have been would have been larger, maybe in nature. That could be one of the reason, because TV was a very expensive item that time, and maybe audience was limited. That could be one of the reason that print media has succeeded, and it has reached to poorer people, because I've seen a lot of presentation, and it's seen that the shifting of smoking has gone from Malay to down the line. Someone had talked about the Afro-American also picked up the smoking. So print media, the advantage is that it lasts long. It lasts long with us compared to TV or radio, because you have to tune it at the right time. You have to be there. Then lasting in our mind maybe less, because it comes the advertisement comes for a very short time. So maybe a recognition of the hooking in our brain may be less. But print media has got a very, very long reach. That could be one of the reasons. Number one, they have declined the cost by 33% in terms of cost, and maybe the reach has increased. That could be one of the reasons. Print media has advantage over the TV media, and that's why the sale has gone up. That could be. That's we as a group have decided to come to a conclusion that print media has really worked in increasing or boosting the sale so far as cigarette is concerned, and the taboo of cigarette, this and that, many has discussed. So print media has really a good effect in increasing sale. So our group coincided to this.
Thank you, Ujjal. Thanks a lot.
Right.
Very good insight. Now let's move on to group number 8, please. Who is group number 8?
Hello, this is Rajendra. I will present my screen, but I think someone from my team will present it or narrate the story.
Rajendra, Sapre.
Yes.
So we are in for a brain map.
Yes, we are.
Mind map. Okay. Yeah. Come. Ready.
So, who is speaking from the group talking about it?
Tulji, would you come in?
Yes, I'm doing that. Yeah. In the beginning, what happened was there were lots of, I will not repeat what people have said. Main thing was the print media was there. There were reports which were there that in Italy and in Great Britain, these had been banned, despite that the sales had increased. That was point number 1, which our study revealed. The anti-ads in the beginning, when they started to come in, they had an impact on reducing the consumption.
So the consumption reduced. I'm just adding on to the point which others have not said, not repeating. In 70s, when both this happened, the anti-ads also reduced because the advertising reduced. The anti-ads that the cigarette is not good, etc., etc. They also reduced to some extent, and this also had seemingly some impact. The lots of advertising expenditure having gone down, the amount of available to them for research, etc., that increased, and they started working out on other ways. They also developed what they call a safe, nicotine-free, tar-free cigarettes. So although the ban was there, people knew that this is not good for health, but the name of safe cigarettes, that still came up. And when people started to using these safe cigarettes, their consumption actually increased because the nicotine was less. And when they had to take the same amount of nicotine, the number of cigarettes smoked by people was actually more. Second, because another reason to promote this was the barriers to entry also would have reduced because the advertising was not there. It was also conceptualized that at some point that this advertising was actually not increasing the market share, but it was actually just increasing certain brands over the others. So this is something which I had to add. The earning per share from the manufacturer's point of view, that increased by 25 to 60% because the expenditures were less. Somebody else wants to add?
Yeah, just to add one more point. I think those funds could have got diverted towards the direct marketing channels or direct sales associates, where the shelf life of the cigarette was still there because the visibility was there in the market, approaching all the retail stores in every corner at the fuel pumps, the fuel stations, at all the small retail stores apart from barring the supermarkets. So the visibility and the shelf life is still there, despite the advertisement costs coming down through TV and through media, and only going through print media. So this is one point which we wanted to.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Just half a minute more. Marlboro, we read somewhere that Marlboro, etc., had also started doing certain specific campaigns, like they were doing organized sporting events, etc., which were only open for the smokers. And there were lots of prize money for that. So they started investing in alternate ways for getting people into this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, can you please unshare the screen, please?
Yeah, sure. Arun, just my own perception is that this last point, actually, somewhere it has got a connotation to this whole topic. And actually, the smoking itself is basically implicit learning, is what I think we believe.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good insights. A lot of interesting insights. This goes to show that we have a huge repository of information inside us. Only thing is we need to go and search for it. Our temporal occipital parietal lobes have been hyperactive for the last 2 hours. Good. Let's go to the 9th. 9, isn't it? 8 is over, 9 now.
Hi, is the screen visible?
Yes, your screen is visible, please. Who is it speaking?
My name is Debashish Bhattacharya. I am representing a team of Anushka Juelikar, Arun Chakravarti, Rajneesh, Venu, Vijay, and one more gentleman whose name I missed out. Right?
Okay, please.
So we have gone point-wise, so our points are likely to be crisp, and one of the advantages of speaking towards the end is most of the points to create the context are already made, so I'm not going into that.
Please continue.
Yeah. So why did the ad spend shift from TV and radio to print? One was that thanks to the Surgeon General's report of 1964 and Federal Trade Commission's anti-smoking campaigning becoming mandatory, cigarette ads, whenever cigarette ads were run in TV, there was a requirement that for every ad that was run, 4 anti-smoking ads had to run. So it was becoming, from that point of view, a counterproductive thing, because for every positive thing for the industry, there would be 4 negative things against the industry. Second was reduction of cost from print. In print media was about 33% of radio and TV ads, so huge benefit. Third was withdrawal of ads from TV and radio resulted in removal of anti-smoking campaigns from the TV. TV and radio ads being costly were not giving results, in addition to these anti-smoking campaigns that were coming out. Then what the tobacco industry was also doing is cigarettes were, smoking was being sold as a lifestyle and an aspirational option. So they were using celebrity marketing and they were using various other methods of showing how it is a lifestyle and how it is aspiring and how people aspire to become, let us say, Rock Hudson or somebody like that who used to smoke a particular brand of cigarette, right? So these were broadly, in our opinion, some of the reasons why the campaign shifted from TV and radio to print. There's one more point which is coming out in the next slide. Right now, why did tobacco companies support the ban on ads? First is public acceptance and social image improvement. They did not want to be perceived as somebody who was deliberately harming people by impacting their health. Second, they could not fight directly against the government and the law. Then the public posturing was to support the government while they created support groups for internal lobbying. Now, another thing that happened is that scientific studies, when they started coming out with where they correlated tobacco with health problems, the tobacco industry instituted their own studies where they started identifying chemicals in cigarettes which are harmful. And then they started creating campaigns which said, this particular cigarette has lower in these chemicals, therefore it is not as harmful, and it is actually improving your possibility of better health. Then another challenge, and this is from the earlier slide, TV and radio ads would create opportunities for public debate. Now, the more the public debate was, it would leave a lasting impression, so detrimental to the tobacco companies. Whereas in print media, whatever you print, there is no debate, and at least for the next 24 hours, there is no counter also. So the impression that one would carry whenever one would pick up a paper would be more persistent than a TV and radio ad, which, as some of my earlier speakers pointed out, were small for a duration they ran. I mean, typically about 10 to 15 seconds. And they would be at specific points of time. Then the tobacco companies also moved into other methods of advertising, for example, sponsoring of sports, which is surrogate advertising, which resulted in visibility without their having to overtly and explicitly ask for buying cigarettes. They were visible and people knew that these were tobacco companies. So whenever baseball or some other sport was promoted, they automatically got promoted. So they utilized the power of surrogate marketing to the hilt. Right. And while they were doing this, they were promoting sports, which is a healthy option, which masked the issue and complied with the law. At the same time, because of their logos being there, their brands were getting promoted. Right. So they moved from explicit to implicit marketing. Then I've already covered this point of newer parameters of research coming in. And they went on with print being more persistent than the TV and radio media. Now, this is what we have done. And we have not gone beyond this. So
thank you, Mr. Devashish.
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Yes, can we have that share? Yeah. Many of you have, you're all standing on the precipice. All that you need is the leap of faith. You jump off the cliff and tell yourself, either I will fly or God will catch me at the bottom of it. Okay, let's move on to the 10th team. Yeah, team number 10.
Hello, I'm Ganesh, representing team number 10.
Yes.
Out of we have not made a PPT presentation.
Never mind, you can speak.
Okay. And out of the 8 members, 4 could participate, 4 remained silent. Probably they were searching the internet for the information.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is what we have culled out from the internet regarding cigarette and advertisement. In 1960s, concerned with the medical research that revealed the health hazards of smoking, the US and the European government began to regulate tobacco advertisement in the 1960s. This was the first point. The print, that is the print is the newspaper, from 1962 was featuring an idyllic family scene that suggested that a smoker gets lots more. The brand name was Ellen. This ad suggests that one acceptable way to enjoy the smoking experience is to smoke in the company of one's spouse and children. So this was the way they were advertising. In 1964, however, the US Surgeon General issued a formal report that concluded that smoking caused lung cancer and chronic bronchitis. This led to the government instituting a series of regulations aimed at the tobacco industry. The new laws required health warning labels on all the cigarette packages and required that all cigarette companies file annual reports to the FTC. One goal of these regulations was to oblige the large corporate companies to disclose their advertising expenditures and strategies so that the government would be able to assess the link between the tobacco advertisement and the health-related risks. Throughout the late 60s, the US government accumulated and analyzed the data on the marketing and advertisement practices of the large cigarette companies and finally concluded that tobacco advertisement encouraged smoking. As a result, the Public Health Cigarette Smoking Act was passed and signed into law in 1970. This act banned all cigarette advertisement on television and the radio advertising in the United States. At the time the prohibition went into effect, tobacco companies were spending 80% of their advertisement budgets on television advertising, so the impact of the law was significant. Subsequently, the United States enacted further restrictions on the cigarette advertisements. In 1999, billboards advertisement of tobacco products was banned. And in 2010, tobacco companies were prohibited from sponsoring athletic, musical, or artistic events and from featuring other logo on apparels. However, the government has stopped of banning print advertisement. They have not banned print advertisement. These governmental efforts have been matched by a certain level of self-regulations on the part of the tobacco companies. This was what we have called out, sir. For shortage of time, this is our presentation. Thank you for giving.
Thank you, friends. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Super. Now that all the 10 teams have presented, I'm sure you have all realized the amount of information we have all culled out of the World Wide Web in just about 30 to 45 minutes. Isn't it amazing?
Yes, sir, very much.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yes.
Very frankly speaking, there is nothing more that I can add to it. Every information that I had with me, or every information which the premier educational institutions across the world who put this case study on the table give, is less than the information that you have taken out. So what does that prove? That proves that you are fully capable of getting all the information, number one. Number two, but then where does the problem come? Why did the insight not come out? The insight did not come out because the slicing of the information was not done. The compacting was not done. The transition was not done. And the primacy recency effect was not adhered to. That is the reason why the real insight did not come out. The real insight did not come out only because of opening the body and the closing were not compacted according to the principles of implicit learning. Let's see what it is that I'm talking about. I'm going to be giving you exactly the same information you are going to give. You have given me till now to these 10 teams. But how is it going to be given is what is going to make the difference. Watch. This is where we left. The tobacco lobby in the US is very strong and powerful. It had a steady rise in the early 50s, and towards the late 60s, it started showing a decline by nearly 10%. It was at this juncture.
Sir, nothing coming on slide.
slide sharing is not there.
Sharing is not
It's
there.
very much there. It is very much.
Sharing is
image
there, but
not there.
slide is blank.
Slide is
Yes, the slide is
No,
blank.
that
The
would
slide
be
is
by
no.
choice. Yeah, it's by choice.
Oh, that's by choice.
Oh, okay,
It is by choice. Okay. So you see, the rise during the 50s up to mid 60s was steady, but somewhere around the mid 60s, it started declining by 10%. It was at this juncture that the big tobacco companies decided to stop all, the TV and radio advertisements and shifted to print media. Everybody is aware of come to where the flavor is, come to Marlboro country. Marlboro was mentioned by most of you. And to target the woman, Virginia Slims, you have come a long way, baby. This advertisement was run. It meant a drop from 100%, say 100 rupees, to just 33 rupees. After a 3-year slide and a 10% drop, it was time for the tobacco companies to regain. Something surprising happened. After the TV and the radio ads were stopped and they shifted to print media, sales started picking up. Why? Even though TV and radio were the most sought after and effective media, remember one thing, most people were telling on the 10 groups that print media reaches everyone. No. The number of unemployed, means uneducated, are very high. And they all watch TV or listen to radio. They don't read. But still, sales increased. To understand this, we need to understand what happened. In July 1969, the US congressional hearing, which wanted a ban on the TV and the radio media for tobacco industry advertisements, it was strongly supported by the companies. Very surprising, very, very surprising. The congressional committee hearing was very strongly supported by the tobacco companies. As a consequence of that, in 1971, it was banned. Let's go back in time to understand what had really happened. In 1964, 11th January, US Surgeon General brought out a report which says that, cigarette smoking is extremely bad. Tobacco is extremely bad. So what could have happened? Is it that the, tobacco companies suddenly found God, suddenly felt that they should do good for the public, that, they will look bad? Was that the reason? Or something else was the reason? If you look to understand whether that was the reason, you will suddenly realize that they had also filed a suit in the Supreme Court against the ban order, against the Surgeon General's report, but had failed. And at the same time, they had shifted from TV and radio to print media, but also had started supporting the use of cigarette in the movies. They had paid $500,000 US dollar to Sylvester Stallone. Brown and Williams has given so that he can smoke their cigarettes in 5 of his films. Then what is the reason? Most of you spoke of FTS, Federal Trade Commission, FTC. During that period only, Federal Communications Commission came in when they said, they brought out the Fairness Doctrine. In 1967, the Fairness Doctrine said that for every minute of time given to cigarette companies to air their advertisement in TV and radio, same amount of time has to be given to the anti-smoking lobby to air theirs. And that resulted in a massive furor. American Cancer Society came up with very, very powerful advertisements. Some people commit child abuse before their child is even born. It hit the people under the belt. They said dying from smoking is rarely quick and never painless. And it was after the Fairness Commission's launch or mandatory equal time viewing to anti-tobacco lobby that the sales started dropping. 10% drop was there. The tobacco company executives put their mind together and realized that this counter argument is killing their sales. And they planned the coup. They simply withdrew all their advertisements from TV and radio. And now the anti-tobacco lobby did not have any leg to stand on. They could not go and promote it on TV and radio because there was nothing to talk against. And on the print media, anyway, the reach was very less. My dear friends, the time has come now to show you the insight. Counter arguments are more powerful and damaging. They are extremely damaging and powerful. In your life, never allow a counter argument to raise its head. When you say something, if there is a counter argument, immediately make moves to withdraw out of that position. Because the human mind is fixed towards the negative. If it finds someone contradicting you, it will immediately go towards you because you will look like the underdog. Just imagine what this case study has done. It has made you search top to bottom about something which has no relevance to your life. And today you are that much more richer in your understanding. And you know what, friends? You're not going to stop here. You're going to go home and search further to confirm what I have said. This is what is the effect of driving an implicit learning. And how did I do that? I first posed a mystery. I told you something which was extremely contradictory and mysterious. Then I continued to deepen it by giving you another point. Then I gave you an alternate solution. Provided a clue. Then I resolved the mystery in the form of an insight. What was the strategy to develop this cognitive presence? Pose a problem. What was done was a mystery was given. Why did they shift from television and TV to print? Encourage thinking, deepen the mystery. Why did they support the ban? Clear misconception, probe responses. Consider alternate explanations. Now the alternate explanations were given by you in the form of public sympathy and all that thing, or print media reaching more. You started imagining and creating the alternate explanations. Engage perspectives. Provide a clue to the correct explanation. Why was it looked at as a coup? That means it was something which the tobacco industry did, which drove it. Help make connections, support critical inquiry process. Now bring in the Federal Commission's, Communication Commission, and there's, dictum, directive that for every minute of tobacco advertisement, 1 minute of anti-tobacco should be given. This is where the resolution takes place. And finally, assist in critical thinking. By putting it all together, arrive at the insight. Now let us see how this measures with the cognitive taxonomy of cognitive learning. The taxonomy of cognitive learning begins with retrieval. Pose a problem. You're forced to now go into your mind and look for all the answers. That is done by posing a mystery. Comprehension is increased. Encourage thinking so that you will understand. Deepen the mystery. Analysis, clear misconceptions and probe responses. Consider alternate explanations. When you give alternate explanations, automatically the analysis begins. That brings to knowledge utilization. All these three put together have created a certain amount of knowledge repository inside you. Encourage perspectives. Now see how this knowledge creates various perspectives. How did you do that? By providing a clue to the correct explanation. metacognition, help make connections, support critical inquiry process, resolve the mystery. When the mystery is resolved, you help make all the connections, and finally you understand that, the insight you understand, the assist in the critical thinking happens. That brings us to critical thinking. How are the various ways that you can drive critical thinking in your programs? Number one, by restricting options. That is another strategy by which you can drive a program on critical thinking. By pacing and leading. By pacing and leading in your program, you can drive critical thinking. Through a process called serial reaction task, you can drive your program on critical thinking. By a process called analogy and decision making, you can drive your program on critical thinking and problem solution framework. In other words, what I'm trying to say is every program of yours is a critical thinking program because it is going to drive insights into your audience's mind. You can use a strategy of option restriction. You can use a strategy of pacing and leading. You can use a strategy of serial reaction task. You can use a strategy of analogy and decision making. And finally, what I have done now, you can use a strategy of problem solution framework. Friends, that brings us to the end of this workshop on implicit learning, the science and strategy of implicit learning. Thank you for your excellent participation. I am leaving this program today as a much more enlightened person than all of you. And I am obligated to you for giving me this opportunity to learn so much from you. One more thing I would like to say is that at TTBC, we believe that all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. So we have got this TTBC University presents to you a program on 31st of July, 2021, termed Bonhomie. Under the leadership of Mr. Nagireddy, Ms. Nitika, Ms. Suma, Mr. Vishal, Mr. Narendra Naik, Mr. Chidambaram, Ms. Tasneem, Mr. Atul, Mr. Anil Goswami, and the blessings of Mr. Brooklyn Vijay, and many, many, many more people like Sujata Balaji. A grand cultural event has been planned for 31st of July from 7 p.m. With folded hands, I request you all to come and join there and bless TTBC University for its endeavor to share knowledge with you all. I look forward to meeting you all on 31st evening at 7. The registration link will be posted and it will be sent by mail to you. Kindly register and let us all have a good evening of fun and frolic. 31st is Saturday. Thank you, gentlemen. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Subramaniam. Wonderful brain surgery session again. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mr. Arun.
Thank you, Mr. Arun.
Thank you, Arun,
sir. Yeah, nice
presentation.
Thank you.
Wonderful session, sir. Subbarazu. His wonderful session.
Thank you, sir.
Teaching 40 years, I learned lots of things.
Great, sir. Great.
Teaching for 40 years, learning lots of new things, You are an extraordinary teacher. I am attending every lecture of you. I attended all sessions. You are extraordinary. You need to train professors, principals, and everybody in the institutes about online learning and other kinds of learning. It is extraordinary.
Thank you, sir.
I am a trainer.
This is M. Chidambaram. Thank you for all the
3 lakh people. I touched 3 lakh people. I understand you are extraordinary.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Your blessings.
Yes, I'm an author and wrote books, textbooks. You are extraordinary. And you are contributing a lot. You are contributing a lot. This Subbarazu, you are contributing a lot.
Can I see you, sir? I'm unable to see you.
Hundreds of Aruns are required. And you have to go and teach. Extraordinary.
Please unmute your video, Mr. Subbaraju, so that I can take your message in person.
It's not working. It's not working.
Okay.
It's not working.
Thank you, sir.
I'll be in touch with you. Extraordinary.
Thank you, sir.
Extraordinary. words not sufficient. You're extraordinary. Taught from 40 years. And motivated 3 lakh students, wrote textbooks, used case studies, stories, success secrets for engineering students, only story based. This is extraordinary. Implicit learning, extraordinary.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And
Thank
in
you.
all trainings, actually, they do implicit learning. And implicit learning has to go to colleges also. Especially online learning is possible. Extraordinary words are not sufficient.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Great.
As if it is coming without preparation from the heart of the person, like that, it is fabulous.
Thank you very much. I particularly liked your insight slide, that one. That was absolutely a killer.
See, you know one thing, Mr. Debashish, I was there as a fly in the wall in your room when you were talking about it, and I was 100% sure you will nail it. Yeah. And I thought that, okay, let me move on to the other rooms. Because you were talking about fairness, commission, report, where it says that every tobacco ad should be given an opportunity to be contradicted.
Right.
And that was the key movement, and this is what turned the tobacco industry, and they did a major coup on the government and the anti-tobacco lobby by supporting the ban, which the government and the anti-tobacco lobby never expected. Absolutely. And they were very complacent that no, we have won the battle only to lose the war.
Absolutely. Completely counterintuitive.
Totally counterintuitive. And that is what is marketing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, we just realized that we looked at points, and we actually spend more time on points than in trying to come to that particular point which would turn the whole thing.
See, this is what happens, Mr. Debashish, because you see, creating a message, a presentation is not a set of pictures and language. It's a message.
Absolutely.
And when you are focused on the message, the first thing you need to do is you should know what to chisel out.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The beauty of the sculpture is in what is not present there.
Right. There is one more thing which I would like to acknowledge here.
What is not there gives beauty.
Huh?
Yes, what is not there.
To the same alma mater. We are both from BHU.
Oh, you are also from BHU. Great, great. So, which hostel were you in?
I was in 5 hostels. I was in the engineering side. So,
okay, engineering. Okay, okay. I stayed in Brocha and then I shifted to Ramakrishna.
Yeah, yeah.
And only after that the engineering hostel start. Right next to Ramakrishna is the engineering hostel starts.
Yeah, Raman Hostel is the first
one. Raman
one.
Hostel is the next one.
Yeah. Now, if you go there, you will find many other things that are happening. Where the science faculty having been converted to Institute of Science, right? So Institute of Arts, Institute of Management.
Yeah, all sorts of things keep happening there, but I think still the politicking will be there.
Absolutely, that would be there. I mean, without that, there is no soul of BH.
So which year were you there, Mr. Debashish?
77 to 82.
70, that means you are there at my time.
Yes, absolutely.
I was there from 77, 76 to 79 I was there.
Right. So we would have overlapped. In fact, I had one of my class fellows in science faculty in 77. Rajesh Sin, I do not know whether you know him. He was also in, I think, Brocha Hospital.
We were there at that time. I think Divakar Singh Bhadodia was a big hero of that of those days. He was killed in Mandwadi. He was shot.
It was an interesting period.
I had some good run-ins with him.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. So
it was a wonderful period. It was a great periods.
Absolutely. Thank you
Arun sir,
for the session. Thank you for your time.
One question.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Debashi. It's nice knowing you. Keep in touch. I look forward to seeing you in the culturals.
Absolutely. And we are anyway connected on LinkedIn, not to worry.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Bye.
We'll meet. We'll meet again.
Bye.
Bye. Yes.
Sir, one observation and one question that I want to ask. On the observation part, I observed your opening. In less than a minute, you hit the topic. So you did not take a lot of time going in circle and then coming to the topic. You straight away hit on it with one question and then you immediately opened up the topic. That's a great observation, which I wanted to implement in my upcoming sessions. The question that I have is this counter arguments that you say, today we also tend to see in the same television and other advertisement world, the opposite brands, like for example, Coke and Pepsi, they always try and...
That is not counter argument. That is competition.
What is that called? Okay, that's just...
I'll give you an example of a counter argument which happened today.
Sure, sir. Please go ahead.
I'm sure none of you will remember that. I don't know. I don't think any of you remember a situation of a counter argument in today's session. Can you remember? None of you will remember.
Yes.
Because I never allowed it to move even a second forward. I will remind you at the cost of, my image, I will remind you. I will show you where that counter argument was. The moment I say that, you will understand and everything will open up like a flash in your mind. Because thousands of you must have had, many of you might have had it in your mind at that time. But I did not allow it to prolong even for a second. Counter arguments are very dangerous on the online platform. You should ensure that you never give scope for it. You know when the counter argument was? When I asked the question, how many of you remember the name Emmy? One lady said, I do. She answered, what is the name of this person? She said, Emmy. I said, did you have difficulty in remembering? She said, no. I immediately said, you have an excellent memory, and then I bypassed and went away. I did not try to prolong the issue, because if I tried to prolong, that would have stayed in your mind, everything else would have gone.
Wow. Okay. Beautiful.
So you see, these are insights, these are all implicit insights. Counter arguments can damage your entire program, because you see, in the program, one of the biggest problems I have seen with, what do you call it, people who give presentation is, they involve the participants at time when it is not necessary. Engagement of a participant does not mean the participant hijacking your program. But that is what happens. Then what happens? If you involve them too much, what will happen? They'll say, sir, can I add one point? Then another one will say, this is my viewpoint. What is happening? Is it your program or that program?
Derailing.
Whose program is it? And whose message are you trying to drive? And please understand one thing. Every time I give you an opportunity to think something different than what I want you to think, a new program is being created in your mind.
Sir,
there should be only one program, my program. And you should be, I'll tell you, I told you now, implicit learning. One is by restricting movement, restricting your cognitive movement. I will arrest your cognitive movement in one particular direction. You see, my programs involve various implicit learning techniques I put into it. But then you'll have to learn all these techniques. Yes, please.
You disabled the chat. By that also you prevented counter arguments.
Disabled the chat because why? Because the moment you start typing, where is your concentration?
Yeah,
it's on the chat. You are interested in expressing yourself. First time you try, you can't. Finished. You don't try anymore. You are totally focused. If you are here, you are focused.
Sir, I remember a dialogue from Chadde. Can I?
Yes, Vishal, go ahead.
Who is it?
Vishal.
Yes, Vishal, tell me.
Sir, I remember a dialogue from Chadde which says that हर टीम में गुंडा होता है और इस टीम का गुंडा मैं हूँ. हर टीम में गुंडा होता है.
The coach will say, sir.
The coach says that हर टीम में
Naren sir had played that video.
And इस टीम का गुंडा मैं हूँ. With respect,
आप कहना चाहते हैं कि मैं गुंडा हूँ? अरे पैदाइशी हूँ. नहीं विशाल, आप गलत नहीं हो, लेकिन चक्कर ये है कि मैं पैदाइशी गुंडा हूँ. टाइप पे मत जाना.
But you're constructive गुंडा सर.
नहीं, मेरे लिबास पे मत जाना. अंदर जो है असली गुंडा बैठा हुआ है। जैसे देबाशीष जी ने कहा, बनारस का हूँ भैया, भैया काशी है ये।
Sir, beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. We take only constructive things from you.
65 साल का आप क्या behold करोगे?
So I was discussing with somebody the other day the definition of beauty. Like beauty is not about the age and the face and all, but it is about what we take from it, what we learn from you. So for us, it is
excellent, excellent session. Yes, sir.
Thank
Good
you,
eye
sir.
opener. Thank you. Yet another eye opener. Thank you.
No, but I will remember this. I will be the gunda of the presentation next time when I do it.
Absolutely. You see, I find, many presentations I have seen, Vishal, which are wonderful presentations, totally spoiled by so-called, desire of the presenter to engage the people.
I agree, sir.
Every presenter should remember one particular adage. Too many cooks spoil the broth.
Beautifully said.
Yes, sir, right.
अरे तुम्हारा प्रेजेंटेशन है, अब जबरन सबको दे दोगे? और चुपचाप बैठे रहने वाले आदमी को भी खींच के पूछते हैं, आप बताओ, लिखो यहाँ yes. And now when they are going to write in the chat yes, do you realize that entire concentration is shifted?
Yes.
Yeah.
Even the audience gets disturbed. Even the audience is disturbed because of the chat window.
And then you know what they will do? Even more intelligently, they will say, yes, Nitika, yes, Ravi Shankar, yes, Chandrasekhar, yes. Now the others are thinking, acha, who has not written till now? Khatam. Program hi chaupat ho gaya.
Sir, next round we should do this, sir. We should disable the chat like how you did it.
That will be an excellent thing to do. At least, देखो, I'll tell you one thing, Vishal, whether your presentation is good or not, at least ऐसा तो behave मत करो कि आ बैल मुझे मार.
True, sir.
बैल जा रहा है रास्ते में, काहे बुला रहे हो भैया? उसको जाने दो ना उससे.
मारने के लिए बुला रहे हैं. आइए.
सुकून से रहने में दिक्कत क्या है?
Sir, I think you have gone back to your olden days of 77, I guess.
सर, अरुण जी क्या बात की, मतलब काहे बुला रहे हैं? मतलब बढ़िया हिंदी है आपका तो, बाय गॉड.
बनारसी है, याद दिला दिया देबाशीष जी ने, क्या हमें बताइए.
Sorry, it has become a fashion now after every line. So am I right? Right, yes. Am I right?
Yes. Right, no. And then in that suddenly someone will say, sir, I have one point to say.
Yes.
Follow up. Thank God that person does not say, give me screen sharing. पता चला अगले सेशन में सब लेके चले आए लैपटॉप और स्क्रीन शेयर हो रहा है. कलेक्टिव कम्युनिटी प्रेजेंटेशन होगा.
So Chidambaram sir does that, right? When you answer it right, he will say, you come and take the session.
You see, you should decide on one or two insights which you will drive. And design a program exclusively about that. Cut everything away. Ab batao, you want to talk about mother. Just imagine, you want to give a presentation on mother. Is a mother possible without a father?
No.
Answer, no. Okay. Is that father possible without his parents?
No, not possible.
Is that mother possible without her parents?
No.
Could she have become a mother without the society? So now let us do one thing. Let us prepare a program with the father playing a very major role in it, with his parents playing a major role in that, with her parents playing a major role, with all her college and school friends, with all his college and school friends, with the neighbors, maybe, throw in a couple of dogs and cats, which had been there in their house also. What sort of a program will it be?
झमघट होगा पूरा, mixture, mixed bag.
Mother is lost.
That's what is happening in most programs. जो जी में आया भर दिया, जो पसंद आया भर दिया. I'm always reminded in many programs I've seen, I'm reminded a boy was there, he had studied very hard about market. परीक्षा में गया तो पता चला मार्केट तो आया नहीं. A boat by a river journey आ गया. A journey by boat आ गया. अब लड़का करेगा क्या? उसने क्या किया? उठा बोट पे, जाके अगले किनारे लगाया उसको, और वहीं पे एक मार्केट बना लगा हुआ था, उसमें घुस गया. पूरा ऐसे खत्म किया मार्केट का. वापस आया, बोट में बैठा, वापस आ गया. Many programs are like this. आप कुछ बोल भी नहीं सकते हो उनको. हाँ भाई, बोट किनारा लग ही सकता है, और जब किनारा लगेगा तो मार्केट भी वहां हो सकता है. See, that is where, you know, we as trainers need to practice discipline. Take one particular message which you want to write, only one, or maybe maximum two, and design your full program only on that. Cut away mercilessly everything which comes in its way. You will find that your audience, your participants will tremendously appreciate it. You know, as a teacher, we enter into a classroom to teach physics. The subject is heat. The teacher is a lady. She has come from home after cooking. Cooking requires heat. Now, will she come and start talking about the mechanics of cooking because heat is involved in it? Many a time that happens. You see, if you see, all of you, if you observe, all the 10 teams had touched on all the points that I spoke of. But where did you go amiss? You went amiss in your desire to share every bit of information that you got. Some people went on to discuss about what happened in 1988, 1998, 2000, 2010, 2019. If possible, they would have gone on a prediction trip of what will happen in 225 and 230. भाई टाइम तो है, कौन रोकने वाला है भाई? Who will stop? What happens to the program then? Think about it. Think about it. This is what is important. Each time you pick up the mic, you are a mentor. Your job is to plow the field of your participants and sow the seeds of transformation. Encourage the participant to go on a journey to add sun and water the seed of transformation and optimally develop himself. If even one person out of the 100 odd people who are here today, that has happened, I think I would have done my job. I cannot expect to touch everyone. I cannot. That is too much of an expectation. Maybe I will not be able to touch even 10%, but even one person, if I can change. You know, I'm reminded of the story of the small boy who was walking on the beach. He was seeing starfishes being washed ashore and they were dying on the shore. He started picking up one by one and throwing it back into the sea. His father, who was walking with him, asked him, "What stupidity are you doing? There are so many starfishes which are being washed ashore. Do you think you can make, save all of them? You can make a difference to all of them?" The boy looked at his father, bent down, picked up one, threw it into the sea and said, "I made a difference to this one starfish at least." Friends, very nice meeting you all.
Wonderful, sir.
Sunday.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, sir. We are indebted to you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We will meet again.
Thank you so much, sir.
On 31st evening. Please spread the message to your friends. Let them all come.
And please participate.
Yes. As Nitika says.
Reach out to me. Participation.
Nagireddy
Bring out
sir,
your
you are
talent.
unmuted.
Mohan sir and DP sir. They should also participate.
Nitika, after tomorrow, I am all yours. Okay. Thank you.
Arun sir,
And make the most.
Huh?
Thank you, Mr. Arun.
Yes, I am in Bangalore.
Achha, right, sir.
It is going to be an online, Mr. Prakash, so you can always participate.
Yes.
Irrespective of the place you are in. Thank you, Mr.
Yeah.
Arun.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Wonderful insight as always. Your class apart. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Million thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Nitika,
Thank you all.